för det många.
Hello and welcome to this webinar. I'm Oskar Blakstad. I'm a clinical psychologist and I'm also the founder of Explorable. So we're running our first webinar ever. So I'm a bit scared here. Hopefully the technique will bear with us. I started Explorable in 2008 and because there were so little information about psychology and research online, or what was available was really hard and difficult to read. And the project just took off because obviously there were a lot more people interested. I'm happy to say that last week we actually passed 25 million people that have used Explorable in some way. So the other day I was I was trying to figure out what we could do at Explorable to help even more people. And I was actually giving a seminar where I was asking a few students if they could help me out. And one of the other guys who were giving a speech was a guy from my hometown. We are in Norway. It's in northern Europe, and it's kind of Minnesota for Europe, if you say it. So this other guy was talking about this top grade system, which they had created and had a big deal of success with. So I asked him if we should try to do a webinar for Explorable and see if there were any interest of that. So let me just introduce Nikolai Høibo. Welcome here to the webinar.
Thank you.
Could you maybe tell us a bit about yourself and what's the top grade system?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. I'm so honored to be on the Explorable webinar. It's a great honor because I know you have a lot of readers, and but I think it's a good match. I heard your readers are kind of in the same demographic as our users here in Norway, so it's really exciting actually. So my name is Nikolai Høibo. I'm 28 years old. I have a master's degree in economic and business and economics, and actually part of my education was done at the UC Berkeley in California, and I also have 1 year in high school in Florida. So I'm an American at heart. So I think it's great that we probably have a lot of Americans here. My English is not as good as it used to be when I lived in the U.S., but
it's better than mine.
Okay. we should have a poll. Well, anyway, so I'm a business student with a lot of great plans, of course, how to conquer the world and everything. So instead of being, of course, I wanted to get good grades and stuff like that, but I was more eager to do other projects besides going to classes and going to school. So that led to some kind of trouble for passing the exams, right? So when I met my co-author of what is now this book, the top grade system, or which it's called the Toppkaraktersystemet in Norwegian, directly translated into the top grade system. How to exploit study bursts. Let me see the English translation. How to exploit study bursts, have more free time, and get top grades. I can show you if you can read it yourself. So it's the top grade system: how to exploit study burst, have more free time, and get top grades.
Could I just break in and say that people, if you have questions, please let us know. I think my mail is here. It's info@explorable.com, and I'll try to bring up some of your questions meanwhile. So feel free to email us. It's the same email as you got a reminder. If that's okay with you, Nikolai.
Yeah, that's great. So you can try to take the questions during, and or if I just keep on talking, we should we should do it after we are going through the techniques we're going through today. So we're going to go through 3 techniques from the top grade system. Speed reading, how to read through a book 3 times in less than half an hour. We're going to go through the technique memorization, how to memorize while you sleep without awkward voice recordings. And third, eureka breaks, how to take breaks to perform better. So these are 3 techniques from over 40 in the book Top Grade System. So
these are kind of techniques, different types of techniques you have used for or taught other students on how to improve in their studies, right?
Yeah, so it actually the project or the book started out as just me and my co-author of the book was trying to figure out how to solve our own problems. So because as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to, of course, get good grades, but we also want to have a lot of spare time on our hands so we can work on our other projects and stuff like that. So we definitely needed something to help us out and get good grades in the end. And what we for our surprise, we were actually we couldn't find that much great information out there, so we started asking around how people were able to get good grades without going to all the classes, reading all the material and doing all the work. So and that was kind of interesting, and we actually we found what we call the natural super students. And that's the one those we're talking about in the book. So let me clarify a little bit. So we have a saying in Norway. It's called a skolelys, which means you know the English word for it, Oscar?
I don't remember it.
Well, it means that you're the perfect student. You do all the right things and you never party. And you do what you're being told, kind of. So you're acting like a top athlete. You sleep, you read, and you eat. That's kind of your life through your bachelor's or your master's degree. But
it sounds like what you have to do to get through school.
Yeah, exactly. That's what. So it's kind of like what the institutions tell you how to go through school, that you should do everything. But as we explored the natural super students, we actually noticed that those were the ones that were able to get good grades on the one side and having a lot of spare time with a good conscience, if you can say it like that. So you had the best of both worlds, and it didn't actually have to be that difficult. So.
Can I just break in here? Because I often saw, as a psychologist, when I work with patients, that bad consciousness is really eating the energy out of you. So many people, they use more energy on their bad consciousness than to actually do something about their problem. I don't know if you have.
Yeah. That's almost 1/3 of the book is about the strategy, how to get top focus. We're not going to talk about that right now, but in top focus, it's you have to set a you have a, so excuse my lack of English words here, but a clear gap, no, a divider between your study time and your spare time, and actually all the distractions that comes in your way to getting like actually sitting down to work with the school, or the stuff you're gonna read, and that's what's going, everything you have to go through, actually makes it so stressful, because you know you have to do you know you have to go through all the stuff, but suddenly you just rather clean the bathroom in your student apartment, clean the room and organize stuff, and
Been there, done that.
yeah, and you just do that to levitate your bad conscience, because you're not actually doing what you're supposed to, and then you're just digging the hole deeper, and everything just goes it just goes worse and worse for you. It's really bad, and we actually call it you're doing camouflage tasks, like you're just making stuff up to avoid what you should be doing, and while you're doing the camouflage task, as soon as you're done, you pat yourself on the shoulder and, oh yeah, I had to do that kind of stuff, and like taking out the dishes and do your laundry or whatever. And but as soon as you don't have any more left to do, you're still stuck with all the crap you have to read and do to get good grades. So it's you just the bad conscience is just piling up, even though you're trying to do well. It's really bad, and I've struggled with a lot of this for a long time, and but I in the top grade system we figure out how to eliminate a lot of that stress.
So now we're talking about what you call the super student, right? So what does a super student do then?
So a super student so is a person that do what's required to get top grades on the exam. He tries to kind of like hack the system, hack how the game is played, you know, because when you come to your exam, even though you have a lot of stuff to read, and you should read all this and extra material or whatever, when you come to the final exam, there's just a tiny fraction of what you actually studied that you will be tested on. So one of the things that the super students do is they try to figure out what they actually are supposed to read to get top grades. So they're trying to ask themselves some questions. It's like how to win the game of getting top grades.
That's kind of me when I bought like compendiums with old exams, like these thick things with piles of old exams, just to try to get the questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because what the institutions tell you to do is, like I said, you should go to all the classes, read all the material, etc., etc. But when you're not able to get through all that stuff, and even though if you try to, your motivation or your time or whatever will just run out. So you're not capable to get through all the material and remember all of it. So and it's not even necessary. So it's a really bad strategy. So that takes us, actually, we should get going with one of the techniques in the book, which is the speed reading. Speed reading. Let me find out there. The speed reading technique, which well, how to read through a book 3 times in less than half an hour. So let me just take you back, like why you should do this, and people will think, oh no, that's not even possible. Even you, Oscar, said like, well, I'm really skeptical. Studies studies says that if you read really slowly, you will be better. But this is actually just it's not the main reading technique. It's just to try to figure out what you're supposed to read and get the overview. So this is like the second.
I think my point there was if you are reading something from A to Z,
Yeah.
Often those people who are reading the slowest, or they are stopping when they don't understand things, often gets more things. But
so I totally agree. So this is just.
But that's reading everything from A to Z, right?
Yeah. So the speed reading technique is you have to now you got to remember we're actually if you follow the top grade system right now, you are basically on the second strategy and the second technique in the book. So it's progressive. The book consists of 3 strategies, 9 tactics, and 27 techniques. So every part you can use individually, but if you combine it, it will have a multiplication effect, kind of. So
this is a technique then.
So this is a technique. So now we are in the default mode where we are super focused, right? The whole first strategy, what you're supposed to do is get top focused. So now we're top focused. We're in the tactics they're called super learning. So this is the second step in the super learning technique, but you can still use it individually. So this is part of trying to get through like all the curriculum as quickly as possible, 3 times in less than half an hour. Maybe you will, of course, spend a little bit more than half an hour, but it's the mindset that you're supposed to go through it as quickly as possible. And the reason for this is so you will get an overview of the curriculum and see where stuff is and everything. So it's an advanced technique for to get through the curriculum quickly. So the reason why it works is because you don't actually have to read all the words in a book to understand its context, right? So you can get the context of a situation without having all the details. So when you
kind of the same when you're reading like a word, and not one letter is on the correct place, but still you can read it.
Yeah, exactly. You should. I think you should explain that one real quickly.
Yeah. So we have something called Gestalt, and that's kind of that the brain on some point looks from the top down. It's called top-down knowledge. So you will actually look for the holes. It's kind of, or the hole in a unit. So have you sometimes looked at the sky or at the cloud and you see faces there? So that's because your brain is programmed to look for faces. So then you see faces really easily. And it's the same with the words. You are trained when you learn to read. After a while, you don't really read the words. You just recognize the shapes of them. So that's why you see things. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, yeah, kind of. So your brain started looking for like the connection and see the context and everything. So when you have done one of the previous techniques in the book, you had activated your mind to look for what's important in the class. You have asked yourself questions like, okay, so what is important for me to read for the exam? What is the professor talking about? Like you. And now you're trying to really quickly find the answers of all your questions. Like you have so this is kind of like when you Google stuff. Like you have your questions, and then when you type in Google, you write your search phrase, and then of course you can't read everything that's online. You have to skim through it, right? So you use the hierarchy principle in this technique, which means that the most important stuff uh, in um, academic literature always is at the top, right? So that means that when you're scrolling through Google, you don't just start at the top. If it's not, you read the headline, of course, and if it's not relevant, you don't read it. You just go on to the next headline and the next headline and the next headline, right? So. But usually, when people are reading for the exams, they think that, oh well, if my professor had given me this book, that means that this got to be important. Everything's got to be important. So I just start on the first page and going to read through it all. But that's not how you would do it in real life when you are studying, trying to research something online. Then you read the headline, then you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, and you click in, and then you see, like, you scroll through the article, for example, and you read the subheadlines. And then, and if that sounds interesting, you go over again and you start looking at the more details in the article. And that's it's really weird, but nobody's actually using that technique when they're. Very few. Let me say that. Rephrase that. Very few actually use the same technique when they're reading the curriculum, because they think that, oh well, I should go through everything, so I could just start at page 1 and the first sentence, and just start going through with a marker and mark out all the important stuff. And then everything they end up doing is just mark the whole book, and like they're just coloring the whole book and think everything is important. So it's actually kind of like how you would how you Google stuff. You just you start at the top, and the first time you go through the book, you actually just read all the headlines.
So this is the technique, right?
This is the technique, yeah.
Okay.
So you the first time you go through the book, you should just look at the front and the back of the book, check out, oh yeah, this looks good, and then you just start flipping the pages as quickly as you can, and just use like a second or max, a maximum 1 to 2 seconds per page, and just like check out the headlines and like headline 1 throughout the book, and just browse the pictures and stuff, and just go as quickly as possible with all the curriculum. Just flip through it, and don't think that much, like, oh no, I can't remember anything of this, but you will have you're going to read more about it later, so you don't have to worry. It's just to get an overview kind of thing. And then you do the second round. You do it again, but this time you lower your eyes and look at the subheadlines, or the headline 2 or 3 in the text. So you're using the hierarchy principle to see what's important all the time. And then you will, of course, then you flip through the book one more time, and you will see that you will use a little longer for each page, but you will get through it. And then when you're done with the whole book or the curriculum once more, you go through it again. And
no pause between. You just start over again.
Yeah. Basically, you just start over again, because you can, of course, stop and think about it and reflect. That's always a good thing. But here's the point: is just like getting through and getting through the book and get comfortable with the curriculum. Oftentimes, at the end of the semester, like you you're so familiar with the book and everything, you know exactly where everything is. But you should try to get that overview as quickly as possible, instead of having that after the exam. Often people have total control over the lecture when their exam is done, and then they think, oh, why didn't I just read those chapters and those exams, work on those previous exams, etc., etc. But every time you start a new class, you think, oh, this class is really hard. This is the worst class ever, because you have no idea what you're supposed to be looking at. But so the third time you go through the book, you just lower your eyes again and look at the paragraphs of the beginning of the paragraphs in each avsnitt. What's avsnitt then?
Paragraph.
Yeah, okay, yeah, in each paragraph. So that's actually how you speed read through the book 3 times in less than half an hour. So it's actually really easy, but there's so few people actually doing it. And people are like, oh no, I don't even have time to do that. It's like, what? You don't have time to put off a half an hour before you like go into depth of the material? Because this is just to get an overview. And when you do this, when you combine this with the first technique and the super learning tactic, you will start connecting the dots even before you kind of like know it really well. So after on some of my exams, if I actually just did this, and I could go up and have an oral exam in the class.
There is someone asking here, Austin, asks, when do you do this technique? Is it in the beginning of the semester or at the end, or?
Oh yeah, it definitely. This is in the beginning of the semester. This is kind of like within the first 45 minutes of the new class. So the first technique in super learning is called pensum perspective, or curriculum perspective.
Yeah, this is another technique.
This is another technique. So this is the second one. So the speed reading is the second technique, and this is so the curriculum perspective technique. That's for like the first 15 minutes of a new class. So like the first 15 minutes of the new semester, in a new class, you do this technique, and the speed reading is the next 30 minutes. So within 45 minutes, you have done step 1 and 2, and then you have a complete overview of over the entire class. It's really fascinating how it works. Actually,
I'm sorry.
It was we got when we held our one of the first live seminars at the university in Tromsø. We had over 500 people attending the live course at the school, and one of the girls, she actually, right after the course, she went out and did these 2 first techniques. So within 4 hours after the course, she just wrote us back that she had eureka. And then she wrote, it's kind of like it's a miracle. I now have complete overview of all my classes within 4 hours. So she spent like 1 hour for each of her 4 classes that semester, which she normally barely understood at the end of each semester when she did her normal strategy.
It's interesting that you say this. In psychology, we often talk about chunks. So chunks is like memory units. So it's really hard to remember a lot of, or hold many memory units in your head at the same time. it's 7 plus minus 2. But if you have knobs, so you have something you can attach it to, you could have bigger chunks. So it's a lot easier to remember things if you have something attached to it. So maybe, I was just thinking, maybe that technique is really good at giving you those knobs where you just can hang stuff on.
Yeah, so it's basically like running through your house and just like really quickly. Where's the bedroom? Where's the bathroom? Where's the kitchen? Like, you don't have to know where the Phillips screwdriver is placed at the beginning. Like, if you need it. Like, the reason why I came up with that, I worked on some IKEA furniture yesterday, and I had to find it. I knew where in the house it was, but I still had to go in more detail after when I came in the storage room to find it. But I knew like where it was placed just because of because I knew where all the rooms in the house were, right? So, but if you come to a new house, instead of just like you should get an overview first. You don't have to know where every detail of the house at once, right? So that's kind of like the same thing. You always do this in real life. You do the hierarchy principle, and you start working from the top and work downwards. But often in academia, we just like start at the beginning and just march through it, right?
You have a bottom-up. So this is a top-down technique.
Yeah.
And bottom-up techniques is you are building every small stone, and when you have all those small details, you build it up to one complete picture. But what you're doing is painting the picture first, and then getting down to the details, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like a good analogy for it is it's trying to if you're going to do a puzzle, right? 1,000 pieces of puzzle game. Like, it would be a lot easier if you know what the picture is going to look like, instead of just trying to build the puzzle by finding using the first brick you find and trying to build it from there. So you know what you're trying to look for, and you're like, oh, what am I looking for? Oh, there it is. Oh, there it is. And then just like go really quickly for it. So it's much easier to make a puzzle if you know what it's supposed to look like.
So if you know where the pink elephant is supposed to go, then it's easy to find the pink puzzles to gather.
Yes. Yeah. All right, time flies. I think we should.
Yeah. You have some more techniques for us.
Yeah. So let me. So the next technique I think we should explore is, let me see, share.
Is it explorable?
It's explorable. It's explorable. Maybe memorization. It's so it's how to memorize while you sleep without the awkward voice recordings. Have you tried to do that, Oscar, when you were a student? Try to listen to read in the curriculum on a voice recorder and listen to yourself while asleep?
No, I actually didn't. But I was really important. I always thought it was important to sleep. So.
Yeah, I recently saw a really fascinating TED talk about how the brain cleanses itself while you sleep.
I mean, the main reason, we don't know the main reason for sleep, but the main reason for sleep is learning. And if you think about it, when you are a kid, you sleep more because you're learning more. When you're old, you're sleeping less because you're learning less. If you're starting a new job, or if you're studying really hard, you sleep more because you learn more. It's pretty simple math.
Yeah, but still people are trying to read during night and stuff like that. and think that, oh, but I read so much better at night, so why should I sleep? Then on our courses, I usually say, well, if you're kind of the person that likes to sleep, to work at night, you probably should check out the first strategy of the book, which is called Top Focus, because you're probably your attention control is not very good, right? So you're probably having some concentration vampire stealing all the concentration from you, and you're probably figuring out some camouflage tasks to do instead of reading. But while at night, it's much more difficult to do that kind of stuff because nobody is there to disrupt you.
Oh, so that's why I'm best at reading after 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, most likely.
I mean, between 11 and 1 or 2, my attention is great.
Yeah, but somebody is a night person. But like you said, you still go to sleep.
Oh yeah, so I don't cut back on sleep, but I just sleep maybe differently.
Yeah, like me today, I had to finish my IKEA furniture, and I was determined to get them done before going to sleep. And then I went to bed 3 hours late, so I'm going to sleep in 3 hours in the morning. So I was.
But what I did see, many people, right before your exam, there were people sitting up all night long, trying to get all the details, like to learn everything. And they turned up at the exam really, they were really tired. I don't know, what's your take on that strategy?
I think it's really, really bad. That's actually why we encourage this technique, because if you knew there was a technique that you can memorize while you sleep, you probably would go to bed. So this is actually based on a study they did at Boston University in 1976. I think that was the right one, which actually never mind. That was another sleep article I read. Our study. This was from Stanford University. People in America probably know where that is. Where they actually took a bunch of people that tried to memorize to heart some pictures and stuff like that. And the one part, they went to sleep for 8 hours, while the other ones were awake. And the people when the test came, the people that went to sleep actually performed 54% better than the ones who didn't sleep.
It's pretty interesting. I actually read. I think I read about that study, and that was one of the main reasons if I was studying at night, I tried to have the most important thing at last.
Yeah.
I did not use the rememorization. I didn't know about your system then.
Yeah. So this technique we actually we thought, okay, if there's one thing that we students would love, is that if I just go to sleep and I would wake up smarter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we actually went. So we actually had we wanted to find the technique for doing this. So actually we went out to find it, and we were so glad when we found the study that concluded our dreams coming true. So what you do is actually it's really easy. So this is the third step in the tactic multi-memorization technique in the book, the Top Grade System. So this is kind of like the frosting on the cake technique. So after you have done you've been working on your stuff and everything. This is you have what we call it's called in Norwegian. It's called tanketegning, but let's just use
mind map.
Yeah, it's not a mind map, but it's similar because we found some flaws with the mind maps, which we discussed in the book as well. But because the mind maps doesn't you don't always think like that, but you have some But we shouldn't go in on that right now. But anyways, let's use
another technique in the book.
Another technique in the book. So, but let's just use, if you have made some mind maps, that's great. They work wonderfully, and you can use those. They are great for this memorization technique. So what you actually do is because REM sleep it stands for rapid eye movement. So it's the phase where you're dreaming, right?
That's when they're more vivid.
Yeah, your dreams are more vivid. So this is kind of like where you do the memory consolidation. Is that the right term for it?
I'm sorry, I did.
Anyways, your mind works do its magic while you sleep, and you can actually. Like you said, you were waiting with the most important stuff until last because you want to take this with you more vividly into your dreaming scenario.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone have noticed, but often at night I am more worried about something than other things. And when you're dreaming, that is coming a lot more of those worries. Have you noticed that? So that's kind of often the last things you think about. That's things you are dreaming about.
Yeah. So you actually use that exact principle right there. So if what you just do is you actually take your mind maps, which you have made, right? You have that's how you think. That's how you understand the kind of like the world of your curriculum. It's your what's sammendraget?
Yeah, just overview or.
Yeah. It's kind of like your overview of your own thinking of the class. So if you could just lock that even more tied into your in your memory, it will be great. So you actually just look at it right before you go to sleep. Those mind maps. You just have a look at it, thinking about, well, this looks great. I made it, awesome. You put it at the side, put it next to your bed, and then go to sleep. And sleep for 7.5, 8 hours. Wake up again, and the first thing you do is grab for the mind maps and look at them again. And just by doing that, it's just sinks into your brain at a whole different level. So it's speeding up the process of memorizing the stuff. Instead of you have to do just do the boring repetition over and over again. So you just let the mind do its own trick.
I was just thinking about many people think that the transmission from short-term memory to long-term memory, it's just one point and then it becomes long-term memory. But memory is actually a bit different. It's a lot of connections between short-term memory and long-term memory that consolidates the long-term memory. So it's kind of it's going back and forth quite a lot before you actually have that long-term memory. And I would imagine that this technique is improving the consolidation of that long-term memory.
Yeah, so that's what actually the word I was asking you if that was the right word, the consolidation part, because that's what happened in REM, right? Going in and out of REM, you're doing that consolidation. So actually, that's the whole point of the technique, that you're using the consolidation part to memorize it.
I actually worked with people in crisis for a while, and that was actually the opposite. So people had experienced something really terrible the same day. They might have seen someone die before that day, for example. It was really in a tragedy. And one of the friends often said that, oh, you have to try to sleep and relax and have a good night's sleep. And what we knew as a psychologist was, no, you don't. It's actually better if you don't sleep. It's actually better because, and if you're occupied with something else, because the memory of the awful thing you saw won't consolidate as good.
That's really interesting.
Yeah. So then you should not use the rememorization.
Yeah. That's you should do that. That's so that could be in clinical psychology as well. No, you cannot sleep because then you will memorize it.
Now we actually told people that. What we told them was, don't worry if you don't sleep. It doesn't matter. So yeah.
It's actually good.
Yeah, it's actually good. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's awesome. So that underlies why you should use this technique, because it will consolidate within your memory.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we should, if you think we should just mention before we're going to go through the last technique as well, Eureka breaks, which is how to take breaks to perform better. Let me just share that one to have a visual. So here it's the Eureka break. You have the light bulb here. So this is to represent what will happen when you take the Eureka breaks, right? So, but just to mention before, underneath the webinar, if you probably have seen it, this says if you would like the book to be translated, click here. If you check out the page right below this webinar, you can see that we actually were not thinking about translating the book into English, but Oscar said it could be a good idea because there's people having problems with this kind of stuff, not just in Norway, and we know.
In the seminar, when you were giving the seminar, and I asked you, have you ever thought about expanding it to other languages, like English or Spanish? And you said, no, it has worked great here. And I told you a bit about Explorable, and I actually called Nikolai a week or so later and asked him again, and gradually you started to think a bit about it. So I think this is kind of a I'm trying to ask the fine people of Explorable would you be interested in this kind of stuff if they created an English version of this. How many have you helped?
Yeah, so we've been to all the universities in Norway and the biggest colleges, and now for the past 2 years we've been we stopped counting after we came to 10,000 students that have been onto the top grade system course, and we it's been quite a ride actually. We actually made the top grade system just to help ourselves, but when you help yourself with such a universal problem, I guess the ramification is bigger. So it's really popular. Who knew that study techniques would get a fan page with 22,000 fans? And we actually that was kind of wild, but in Norway we also have idle, of course, and actually the stage where they're having the show, it's a show where that can take over 1,000 people, and we actually were able to we had a live show there between the idol shows because it was so popular. We didn't have a big enough stage when we were in the capital of Oslo. It was over 1,000 people, over 1,000 people attending, and Red Bull was there handing out Red Bull to everybody and stuff. And it was awesome. So I was at the big stage with just a simple book that we tried to help ourselves with. So it would be cool to translate it into English. We're not sure if we want to do that. So if you think it's a good idea, you should definitely give us your vote by entering your email.
And you do that below here somewhere, right?
Yeah, below. It's just a simple.
Okay.
It's a link, and it's a pop-up there, and you just enter your email. It's just to feel the response for it. So it's more technique like this. You see the pictures of the techniques are formed like an app, and it's a really good reason for it. Let me show you again. And the reason why it's shaped like an app is because every technique is like there should be an app for this, right? It's so easy. You just like download it into your brain, kind of thing. That's kind of like the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really fast to become a great student. So just by going through the book and just getting to know, like memorization is like really simple. Like how you get 54% better memory of the curriculum by just like using the technique, for example, right? And speed reading, it's just kind of like how you. It's really easy when you're first, and all the techniques in the book is designed to do just that. So it's really it's an easy read. It's good. So yeah, do your voting and leave your email. So we'll see. And if it's enough people, we will definitely consider it.
Yeah. But, so we're running short of time here. So, but you have promised us at least to show the Eureka breaks.
Yeah.
Technique.
Yeah. So this is also just a super easy technique to perform better. Yeah, how to take your breaks to perform better. So this is based on the principle that you can't, like we talked about before at the webinars, that you can't be just like focused all the time, right? If you're focused on one particular thing all the time, you're losing a lot of stuff like consolidation. So this technique actually is the bed, bath, and bus principle that's been used by the greatest minds in history to get the biggest breakthroughs for inventions, new products, etc. And the thing is that it's just instead of like most students when they if they even take breaks when they're studying by themselves, they usually just open up their computer, right, and go on Facebook or Instagram or check out the latest news and get really scared because there's so much scary stuff going on in the world, right? So and just sits there and go, yeah, they just open up some another window in their browser, kind of. But actually, you're kind of robbing yourself to having some really great insights if you haven't been working on a particular subject for a long time, and you owe your mind to disconnect from the subject, especially if you have had some difficulties and not able to figure out what you're supposed to be doing. So instead of like, if you're having a problem, instead of like working harder and harder on the problem and trying to solve it like that, you should take the Eureka breaks. And the way it's done is actually just like you getting up out of the chair, getting out of the room or wherever the library where you're sitting and reading, and take an active break by removing yourself from the work. So
I was actually thinking about Einstein now. You know the discovery of the relativity theory of Einstein?
No, actually, I don't. But most.
No. So what happened? What happened was that he was really struggling with the problem that light was just as fast in every direction or with any speed. Normally, if you have a sound, have you heard a train going like or a car? You hear the sound like when it passes you. So, but with the light that doesn't happen, and he was just mind blown about it, and he had to go out of the laboratory, and he was actually going for a walk by himself in the garden, and then it just struck him, the relativity theory.
Eureka.
Yeah, it's kind of eureka moment for him, they say.
Yeah, exactly. So it's letting your mind do the connection it has to do. Right? You're just a connection away from having to figuring stuff out. So by actively taking breaks from the class, you will reset your mind, and you will it's really you're really robbing yourself if you don't do this. And a lot of students, me myself included, I thought that I don't even have time to have a break. I have my exam tomorrow or whatever. I don't have time to walk around and just. I have to read. I have to cram, right? But actually doing yourself a disservice without taking a break. So we actually had. This is also part of we call it interval focus. It's also or if you heard about the Pomodoro technique.
I'm sorry,
the Pomodoro.
I haven't.
Oh, okay, no, I will not go into it because we don't have any time. But it's like you won't be able to be 100% focused all the times anyway. So when you run out of focus, you have to take a break. But instead of just taking any kind of break, you have to really take a break to get the connection going. So it's so by removing yourself from the area you will have like real breakthroughs. So you can, and if you don't do this, you will actually have problems falling asleep at night, because if you don't take these breaks during the day, you will have all your consolidations at night instead of during the day. So you're actually helping your mind to consolidate the subject during the day instead of everything at once when you go to sleep, and then you won't be able to fall asleep because your mind is just churning.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3 really powerful techniques. You can do them immediately. They're so simple. It's like they're actually so simple to do that people don't even bother almost doing them, because it's like, oh well, now I know I don't have to do them, and that's kind of frustrating for me. It's like when people come over to me after the course, oh yeah, I knew that. Well, do you do it? No. So how's your grade? Well, I failed. Exactly. Like super students, they just do some small different. You don't have to be smart as Einstein or to get good grades or have stamina as a marathon runner or lucky as a lottery winner. You just gotta know what to do, right? So the top grade system gives you a systematic way how to approach all the classes without having to go to all the classes, do all the work, and read all the material. Well, I guess in US, in Norway, you don't have to go to any classes at all. That's probably different in the US. I don't know. We had when I was at Berkeley, it was entrepreneurship, so it was we had a lot of we worked in Silicon Valley and stuff, so that was cool. We didn't have a normal schedule.
We had to attend classes, so
yeah. So
it's not always true.
Yeah. So that's just because you have to do it. If you could choose yourself, you wouldn't. So, some classes are really helpful to go to. Others are just stupid to go to. It depends on the professor, right, or the class. But not. You should have different strategies for different classes.
I was actually known for the first lever of classes. So I think I was one of the persons with the lowest tolerance for boring classes. So I actually just left if it was a boring class. I left and started studying instead. But
that's
most don't dare to do it.
Yeah, you sound like a super student.
Maybe. Okay, so that kind of concludes. That's 3 techniques that we've shown today, and there are about 27. Did you say?
Yeah, there's 27, 3 strategies, 3 tactics, and 27 techniques. So it's kind of like they go in depth of each other. I was like gangster style here.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up the techniques. So it's the top grade system. You heard just 3 of the techniques. It was speed reading. Use the hierarchy principle to read really fast, 3 times in less than half an hour. It was memorization to memorize while you sleep, because you use like the consolidation of your brain to lock things in your long-term memory. And the eureka breaks, that you just just leave your school. Your pain of school, and just let your brain do the work once again.
I mean, it sounds like really interesting techniques and something that many can use. So I certainly hope that many people of you looking here are showing your support for this and signing up. But so hopefully we'll have Nikolai here translated to English, so we can actually give this out to people, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then I would just like to thank you very much for joining us today, Nikolai. It was a real pleasure hearing you share the techniques you knew about, and I also would like to thank everyone who signed up and who came here today for your time, and I wish you all of the luck on your exams, and explore away.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.